Ladies and gentlemen, there comes a time in everyone's life when we must pause and ask ourselves one simple question. Am I mastering money, or is money mastering me? Jim Rohn used to say, it's not the money that makes you wealthy, it's the wisdom. Today I want to share with you 5 financial lessons that can change everything, not just in your wallet, but in your mindset, your future, and ultimately your destiny. Lesson 1, don't sit. Just earn. Learn. Most people work harder on their job than they do on themselves. But if you stop learning, you stop earning. Education doesn't end when school ends, it begins when you decide to grow. Invest in books, courses, mentors, because your mind, once stretched with knowledge, will never return to its smaller dimensions. Most people spend their entire lives working for money, but never stop to think about the one thing that actually determines how much money they will ever attract: their own personal development. You see, money is a reflection of value. If you want to have more, you must first become more. Think about it. 2 people can put in the same number of hours at the same type of job, and yet their results are completely different. Why? It's not the clock, it's not the employer, and it's not luck. It's the knowledge, the skills, the creativity, and the character they've invested in themselves over time. The truth is, you don't get paid by the hour, you get paid for the value you put into the hour. So if you want to change your financial future, the first step is not to demand a raise, but to raise your value. The greatest investment you'll ever make is not in stocks, bonds, or real estate. It's in yourself. And here's the exciting part. Self-education is unlimited. Formal education will teach you how to make a living, but self-education will teach you how to build a fortune. Formal education will get you through school, but self-education will get you through life. Most people finish their schooling and think they're finished with learning, but the truth is, the real learning begins when school ends. Pick up a book that challenges your thinking. Attend a seminar that stretches your comfort zone. Find a mentor who can compress decades of wisdom into days of learning. Every time you invest in your mind, you're planting seeds that will bear fruit for years to come. And the harvest is not always immediate, but it's inevitable. Knowledge has a compounding effect. A single idea today can multiply into 10 opportunities tomorrow. Consider this: a person who reads 1 good book a month for 5 years will have read 60 books. That's 60 new perspectives, 60 new strategies, 60 new ways of thinking that someone else never took the time to gain. Who do you think will have the advantage in the marketplace? The one who stopped learning at graduation, or the one who never stopped investing in their personal growth? Don't just rely on experience alone. Experience by itself can be a poor teacher if it isn't reflected upon. Instead, turn experience into evaluated experience. Ask, what did I learn from this? How can I improve? How can I do it better next time? That habit of extracting lessons from life is what separates the average from the extraordinary. Here's another key. Be intentional about what you learn. Don't just consume information randomly. Learn in alignment with your goals. If you want to master finances, study money. If you want to grow in leadership, study influence. If you want to create wealth, study people who built it and learn their philosophy. Knowledge without application is trivia, but knowledge applied with discipline is transformation. And let's not forget the mindset shift that learning creates. When you keep learning, you stay humble because you realize how much you don't know. You stay adaptable because you can see changes before they happen. You stay hopeful because growth gives you confidence that tomorrow can be better than today. The learner always has the advantage, because while others are waiting for opportunity, the learner is preparing for it. So don't just chase money. Chase wisdom. Money without wisdom disappears, but wisdom without money can eventually create abundance. If you want to change the size of your paycheck, change the size of your mind. Stretch it, feed it, discipline it. And remember, wealth does not begin in your bank account, it begins in your thinking. The bottom line is simple. Don't just earn, learn. Because when you learn more, you earn more. And when you earn more, you can give more, live more, and become more. That's the secret that changes everything. Lesson 2. Spend less than you earn. It sounds simple, but it's profound. If your income is $1,000 and you spend $1,100, you'll always be in debt. But if you earn $1,000 and spend $900, the difference is not just money, it's peace of mind. Jim Rohn often said, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. Practice the discipline of living below your means. One of the simplest but most powerful financial principles you will ever learn is to spend less than you earn. It almost sounds too obvious, and yet it is the very principle that so many people violate every single day. The trap is subtle but dangerous. When income rises, lifestyle rises faster, a person gets a raise, and instead of building security, they build new expenses. A bigger paycheck means a bigger car payment, a fancier home, or a credit card bill that never seems to shrink. The result is that no matter how much money comes in, it never feels like enough. The truth is, it does not matter how much you make if you do not master this discipline. Someone earning a modest salary but spending wisely can have more peace of mind than someone earning 10 times more but drowning in debt. Jim Rohn used to say, it's not the amount that counts, it's the plan that counts. A person with a plan and discipline will always be ahead of the person with no control, no matter the income level. If you spend every dollar you earn, you'll always be at zero. If you spend more than you earn, you'll live in the red, constantly paying for yesterday with today's effort. But if you spend less than you earn, even by a small margin, you create room for growth. That margin is called freedom. It is called breathing space. It is the seed for investment, the foundation of wealth, and the doorway to independence. Think of it this way. If your income is $1,000 a month and you spend $900, you have $100 left over. Some people might dismiss that as too small to matter, but over a year, that's $1,200. Over 10 years, that's $12,000. And if invested wisely, it could multiply into far more. The small difference compounded over time is what makes the difference between struggling and prospering. Now, it takes discipline to live on less than you make. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and reality. It is the little voice that says, no, not yet, when temptation calls you to overspend. It is the habit of distinguishing between what you need and what you merely want. Needs will always be with you. Wants will grow as fast as your income grows. But if you let wants dictate your financial life, you'll always feel poor no matter how much you earn. Here's a truth worth remembering. Wealth is not measured by what you earn, but by what you keep. Some people drive luxury cars but cannot sleep at night because of the debt behind them. Others drive modest cars, live in modest homes, but rest easy because they have margin savings and investments working silently for them. Which life do you think holds more joy, more stability, more true wealth? The danger of overspending is that it steals your future. Every dollar you overspend is a dollar borrowed from tomorrow's freedom. Debt may allow you to enjoy something today, but it locks you into payment chains that rob you of choices later. The wise person uses money as a tool, not as a trap. That means delaying gratification, saying no to impulses, and remembering that the future you want is more valuable than the fleeting pleasure of an unnecessary purchase. The goal is not to live in scarcity, but to live in control. Spending less than you earn does not mean denying yourself everything. It means designing your life with wisdom. It means asking, what do I value most? What kind of freedom do I want in the future? Every purchase is a trade between now and later, between comfort today and opportunity tomorrow. So make the decision to live below your means. Track your money, create a budget, and stick to it. Treat every dollar with respect, because every dollar has the potential to grow if you give it purpose. Remember, financial peace is not about luck. It is about discipline. And the first step to discipline is to spend less than you earn. Because at the end of the day, it is not how much you make that will determine your wealth. It is how much you keep. And when you learn to live within your means, you create the margin that allows you to build not just income, but lasting independence. Lesson 3. Make money your servant, not your master. The goal is not just to earn money. It's to make your money work for you. Start saving, start investing, and let compound interest become your silent partner. $1 wisely invested can multiply into a fortune, but left idle, it shrinks in value. The sooner you plant your financial seeds, the sooner you'll reap the harvest. Money is a wonderful servant, but a terrible master. The problem for most people is that they never learn how to put money to work. Instead, they end up working for money all their lives. They rise early, stay late, and trade their hours for dollars. But when the hours stop, so does the income. And that, my friends, is financial slavery disguised as security. The key to true financial independence is learning how to make your money work for you. Every dollar you earn has a choice. It can either disappear into an expense that gives you a moment of comfort, or it can be assigned a job that multiplies its value. The discipline of wealth comes down to this. Never let a dollar leave you unemployed. When you spend recklessly, money leaves you and never returns. But when you save and invest, that same money becomes a worker, producing more dollars on your behalf, day and night, even while you sleep. Think about the power of compound interest. One small seed planted today can turn into a forest tomorrow, if given enough time. If you set aside just a little and allow it to grow, you are not just saving money, you are building an army of servants that will fight for your future. The rich understand this principle well. They don't just work for money, they put their money to work in businesses, investments, and assets that generate cash flow. Meanwhile, the average person spends most of their income on liabilities that drain rather than sustain. The question is not how much money you make, but how much of it is put to work on your behalf. Someone earning a modest salary but investing consistently can become wealthier over time than someone earning a fortune but squandering it all on lifestyle. Why? Because one understands that money is a tool, while the other sees it only as a toy. And here's another truth. Money, when treated as a master, becomes a cruel one. If you let it control your emotions, you'll spend your life in fear, worry, and stress. When bills pile up, when debts grow, when expenses overtake income, money begins to dictate your choices. You no longer live life on your own terms. You live by the terms of lenders, creditors, and employers. Freedom slips through your fingers because you surrendered control to the master of money. But when you make money your servant, life changes. You are the one in charge. You tell it where to go, what to do, and how to grow. It works for you, not against you. It buys you time, it provides you choices, and it fuels your vision. Money, properly directed, is a magnificent tool. It can fund your dreams, create opportunities for your family, and even bless others in need. But it must always remain in its proper place, a servant, never the master. The shift begins with a decision. Decide today that money will no longer control you. Set a plan to save, invest, and build assets that pay you. Educate yourself about financial principles. Don't let your money sit idle in a jar or shrink in a low-interest account. Put it to work where it can grow. And as it grows, let it buy you freedom, not chains. Imagine a future where your investments generate enough income to cover your living expenses. That is what we call financial independence. At that point, you are no longer working for survival. You are working because you want to, not because you have to. And that is the highest form of wealth, choice. Remember this. Every dollar you control has the potential to become your employee. Hire it wisely. Direct it carefully, and it will serve you faithfully. But neglect it, misuse it, or waste it, and it will quickly desert you. The difference between the wealthy and the broke is not opportunity, it is philosophy. One group sees money as a servant, the other becomes enslaved by it. So choose wisely. Build the habit of making money your servant, not your master. Because when money works for you, it not only builds wealth, it builds freedom, dignity, and the power to live life on your terms. Lesson 4. Provide more value than you're paid for. Wealth is not a chase. It's a magnet. People are drawn to value. If you want more, become more. If you want to earn more, deliver more. Don't ask, what am I getting? Ask, what am I becoming? When you over-deliver, opportunities will chase you. One of the greatest secrets of wealth and success is simple. Always provide more value than you are paid for. Most people do just enough to get by. They give the minimum effort, meet only the basic requirements, and hope for more pay, more recognition, and more opportunities. But life doesn't work that way. The marketplace rewards value, not effort. If you want to earn more, you must become more. If you want doors to open, you must deliver beyond what is expected. Think of it like this. Your paycheck is not a reflection of your time, but a reflection of the value you bring to the marketplace. Time is equal for everyone, rich or poor. We each get 24 hours in a day, but the difference in income comes from the difference in value. A person who grows their skills, expands their knowledge, and consistently delivers results will always be worth more to the marketplace than someone who simply shows up and punches a clock. Jim Rohn used to say, "Don't wish it were easier, wish you were better." That's the heart of this principle. If you want the world to reward you with more, focus on increasing what you bring to the table. Become more skilled, more disciplined, more reliable, more creative. When you exceed expectations, you stand out. And when you stand out, you attract opportunity. Consider this truth. People are always watching. Your boss, your clients, your colleagues. They notice when you go the extra mile. They notice when you do more than what's required. And while the rewards might not be immediate, over time, your reputation becomes a magnet. Opportunities have a way of finding those who consistently give more than they take. On the other hand, those who only do the bare minimum eventually find themselves stuck. They complain that others are being promoted, that others are succeeding, but the reality is that they are not adding enough value to move forward. The marketplace is fair in this way. It gives back what you put in, multiply. If you plant generously, you reap generously. If you plant sparingly, you reap sparingly. This principle also applies beyond money. When you focus on giving more value in relationships, you build trust and loyalty. When you provide more value in service, you create satisfied customers who return again and again. When you give more in your community, you build influence and goodwill. Value multiplies in ways that money cannot always measure, but it always returns in one form or another. Now let's be clear. Providing more value is not about working yourself to exhaustion without reward. It's about building a habit, a mindset of excellence. It's about saying, I will always leave things better than I found them. I will always give more than I expect to receive. That kind of mindset transforms you into someone indispensable, someone people want to hire, promote, follow, and support. And here's the most exciting part. When you become the kind of person who always gives more, you create a powerful sense of confidence. You no longer worry about whether opportunity will come, because you know you are preparing yourself to attract it. You know that by providing value, the world has no choice but to take notice. So instead of asking, why am I not being paid more? Ask, how can I become more valuable? Instead of waiting for opportunity, prepare for it by exceeding expectations where you are right now. If you're an employee, treat the job as if you own the company. If you're in business, treat every client as if they were your only client. If you're building a skill, practice as though the whole world is waiting for your best performance. The principle is timeless. Provide more value than you're paid for, and eventually you'll be paid far more than you provide. Life has a way of balancing the scales, and those who give abundantly always find that abundance returns to them. So choose today to raise your standards. Go the extra mile. Do more, give more, be more. Because when you make value your focus, wealth, opportunity, and success will inevitably chase you down. Lesson 5. Build a vision. Bigger than money. Money alone will never satisfy. True wealth is having the freedom to live life on your terms. Build a vision that excites you, something money can fuel but never define. Because in the end, money is a tool, not the master. The purpose of wealth is not to have more, but to become more. Money is important, but it is not the ultimate purpose of life. Too many people chase money as if it were the final destination, only to find that once they have it, they still feel empty. The truth is, money is only a tool, a servant, a resource that helps you pursue something far greater. If your only goal is to get rich, you may achieve it and still miss the deeper meaning of success. But if your vision is larger than money, then money becomes a powerful ally in helping you create the life you truly want. Jim Rohn used to say, set a goal to become a millionaire, not for the money, but for the person you will have to become to achieve it. That is the essence of building a vision bigger than money. The pursuit of wealth should stretch you, discipline you, and cause you to grow into a stronger, wiser, and more capable person. Because wealth without purpose is just accumulation. But wealth tied to vision becomes transformation, not only for you, but for everyone your life touches. Think about it this way. Money can buy you a bed, but not peace. It can buy you food, but not fulfillment. It can buy you entertainment, but not joy. Those things come from purpose, from vision, from living for something greater than comfort. If you make money the master, you'll always be chasing more, and more will never be enough. But if you make vision the master, money will serve as the fuel to bring that vision into reality. Your vision should answer the deeper questions. Who do I want to become? What kind of life do I want to live? How do I want to impact others? What legacy do I want to leave behind? When you build your financial life around those questions, money gains meaning. It is no longer just about paying bills or buying things. It is about creating freedom, building opportunities, and making a difference. For some, vision might mean building a family that thrives for generations. For others, it might mean creating a business that serves thousands or giving generously to causes that change lives. For some, it is about traveling the world, experiencing life, and expanding perspective. Whatever your vision is, make sure it is something that excites you, something that calls you to rise above mediocrity, something that money alone could never buy. The danger of not having a vision is that money will always find a way to control you. If you don't give money a purpose, you'll waste it on things that don't matter. You'll spend to impress others, to fill temporary voids, to keep up with appearances. And in the end, you'll look back and wonder why it all feels so empty. But when money serves a vision, every dollar has direction. Every dollar is a step toward building the future you desire. Building a vision bigger than money also keeps you grounded. It reminds you that success is not about the size of your bank account, but the size of your contribution. It helps you see money as a resource, not an identity. And it keeps you from being trapped by greed, because you understand that the purpose of wealth is not just to have more, but to become more. So ask yourself, what's the bigger picture for your life? If you had all the money you needed, how would you spend your days? Who would you help? What kind of difference would you make? Those answers are the compass for your financial journey. Money is just the vehicle. Vision is the destination. In the end, wealth without vision is meaningless. But wealth tied to vision becomes powerful. It builds legacies, inspires others, and creates a life of true fulfillment. So don't just chase money, chase a vision bigger than money, because when you do, you won't just change your bank account, you'll change your life, and perhaps the world around you. Friends, these 5 lessons learn constantly. Live below your means, make money work, add more value, and build a bigger vision are not just financial principles, they're life principles. And remember Jim Rohn's words, formal education will make you a living, self-education will make you a fortune. So go out there not just to make a living, but to make a difference. Because when you master money, you don't just change your bank account, you change your entire life. Thank you.